President Barack Obama making a return to the campaign trail following a few Democratic losses in high-profile special elections like the one we covered in the House in Georgia earlier this week. Obama's agreed to stump for Democrat Ralph Northam in his bid to become Virginia's next governor. That's just one of two gubernatorial contests this year under a new Trump administration. Joining us now to discuss, David Avella, the chairman of GoPac and a veteran Republican strategist. Also with us, Leslie Marshall, a syndicated radio host and Fox News contributor. Good to see you both.
Good seeing you.
Good morning.
All right, so Leslie, there are all these challenges now bubbling up to Nancy Pelosi's leadership in the House. Others within the party saying it's sort of in disarray. They don't have a real leader. So what do you make of them going back in time? And a lot of people saying that former President Obama is still the guy who's really the best leader for the Democrats.
Well, I don't think that the president alone, the former president, would be the best leader for the Democrats. But one thing he was able to do, quite frankly, was unite. This was before the partition between Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. That still remains quite large. There are still Bernie or bust people, if you look on Twitter on a daily basis. The former president has very high approval ratings, and he had historical numbers in getting out African Americans and millennials to vote. And millennials voting is key, not just in a general election, but even more so in the midterm. As you know, Shannon, historically, Democrats, my side of the team, stays home during those elections, and we definitely need somebody to fan the flames under these voters to get them out in the midterms. And I think former President Obama is one of those individuals to be able to do that.
I mean, David, he has a lot of fans. Even Democrats will tell you they're very nostalgic for him when they had Hillary Clinton as their nominee. They weren't super thrilled about that. He's a great speaker, he's a great communicator, he's charismatic out there. But the fact is, his record on campaigning for people, not actually on paper that good.
No president can match President Obama's ability to campaign for candidates who ultimately go on and lose. He lost over 1,000 state legislative seats alone, not counting both chambers of Congress, as he went out and stumped for Democrats. What we learned during his presidency is that while he was able to get elected, that popularity never transferred and never could turn out millennials to ultimately put a coalition together that helped get him elected. Now, that all said, this makes perfect sense because the Democrats, particularly the progressive wing, is in a mode of only talking to one another. And Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama are the best messengers for what Democrats believe right now. So while Democrats want to talk to each other, Americans continue, as they have done the last 8 years, continue to elect more and more Republicans.
Well, and he's not just getting back on the campaign trail. He's obviously weighing in on the fate of his signature legislative achievement, Obamacare. Here's what he posted on Facebook in part. I recognize that repealing and replacing the Affordable Care Act has become a core tenet of the Republican Party. Still, I hope that our senators, many of whom I know well, step back and measure what's really at stake and consider that the rationale for action on health care or any other issue must be something more than simply undoing something that Democrats did. Now, that's the nice part of what he said. He went on to blast this whole thing and say basically it's the worst thing to ever happen to anybody out there who is going to exist and live in this country. So with that in mind, here's what Sean Spicer told Bill last hour.
Well, the real meanness is allowing the American people to believe that that Obamacare is still alive. Obamacare has failed. In county after county, they are left with no choices, rising premiums and skyrocketing deductibles. Obamacare is dead. It isn't an option.
Leslie, he's got a lot at stake. I mean, it's named after him.
Oh, clearly. But I mean, to say it's dead, I mean, that's quite frankly dramatic. I guess we could say that about the replacement bill in the Senate right now with 4 GOP senators saying they're not going to go for it. The reality is that the majority of the American people are echoing, in a sense, the sentiments of the president, not the more mean tweet, if you will, but fixing what is wrong with the plan. Poll after poll. Don't replace. You don't even need to repeal. Hey, you want to rename, but fix the problems that are in it. By the way, Hillary Clinton spoke about that during the second debate. She said that, look, clearly we need to fix one of the problems, and one of the problems is the rising premiums. But to undo everything that's been done so far, especially when polls show a lot of Republicans, even Trump supporters, are really starting to like their plans now because premiums are not rising for everyone. You don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. And by the way, the polls show that, and I think some Republicans whose seats are up are going to see that maybe if they favor this, worse, it may hurt them in the midterm election.
We'll see. There are those who think the Democrats want it to get passed because then the Republicans will be responsible for whatever comes next. We got to leave it there. We're out of time. But David and Leslie, thank you both.
Thank you.
If you're looking
Thank
for
you.